Hi, everybody. Um, Today I want to talk to you and get your ideas about this idea that is going through my head. Maybe it'll spark an idea in you and you can help me with it and we can expound on it. But it all started um, with last solar storm, geomagnetic storm that we had. There's a website I subscribe to called spaceweather.com. And what they were referring to was this ham radio operator who he sent out his call letters via Morse code during the storm. Didn't necessarily wasn't aware of the storm happening, but he sent out his call letters like ham radio operators do, and he got the signal back 45 seconds later. Now, 45 seconds is a really long time for something traveling at the speed of light. And there was all kinds of hypotheses about the signal bouncing off of Venus or going around the Earth several times. But of course, we know a signal weakens as it travels. So, um, it was a mystery. Well, one of the theories that they said might be possible was called plasma memory. And basically, what that means, to my best understanding, was that when the sun energized our ionosphere, it sort of set up a plasma, and that's basically it aligned the ions in the ionosphere into a kind of an organized manner, but kind of made blank tape in a way, blank a blank DVD or a blank hard drive. And when this gentleman sent his signal in there, um, it it could have recorded the signal. It just basically kind of changed the spin of the different ions and created a memory of that signal. And then the reason it spit it out 45 seconds later was maybe no more than just arbitrary. Maybe the conditions were right in the undulation of the ionosphere that it just kind of wrinkled out and spit out the signal, which the ham radio operator got back very clearly and very loudly. You can all post that website and you can listen to it if you want to read more about it. But this was very interesting to both the ham radio operator and spaceweather.com, and they asked for other people who might have experienced this because they've heard of it before, but they haven't studied it very well. Well, I did some reading on this, and it sort of pointed me to uh, the idea behind the magnetic resonance imaging device, the MRI that the medical industry uses to scan your organs. Basically, it's the same principle. It's sending. Well, I won't go to try to explain that because it's quite difficult. But basically, it's using the resonances of magnetism, electromagnetism, to scan your body. So I was thinking that this event could have, well, it sort of speaks to the idea that the ionosphere, the covering over the planet Earth, is a giant recording device. And that made a lot of sense. And it seemed like I recalled something in my studies and my learnings and, just things people have taught me that the Inuit, the northern latitude native people um, of all around the northern latitudes are very intimate and familiar with the northern lights, the aurora borealis. And they say when the northern lights are doing their thing, it's they can hear their ancestors talking to them. And this just started resonating with this idea because if the ionosphere is a recording device, then all the information of all our ancestors, of everything, would have been recorded in it, or could have been recorded in it, I should say. And maybe we're discovering this scientifically. So, that got me to thinking. One thing I've always had, well, I used to have problem with it. I think I understand it better now. Was the idea of astrology being a legitimate template. You know, it's not a prediction device, like many people think. Mostly, astrology is avenue for self-examination. But why does it matter when if the sun was in Cancer when I was born, or you know Mars was in Aries? I don't know actually what my chart looks like off the top of my head, but why is that important? Well, it made sense that the place and time that I was born needed a reference for the Earth to record that. And same with you, of course. So, what time frame would we look at? Well, the Earth wouldn't look at the the Christian era, or the before Christ, or any of that stuff. It would have its own measuring device, which of course would be the planets. This is the language that the Earth would speak if it were intelligent, if you know what I mean. So. It made sense that if I was born and my information was recorded, it would be recorded in such a way, and that this also speaks to the idea that the Earth and our relationship with the Earth is a very intimate kind of motherly relationship, and it just speaks to that. Now. Another thought I want to run by you is I've heard from friends of mine just recently that they've known that healers perform best or most effectively when their frequency is in relationship to the Earth's frequency. Well, what is the Earth's frequency? Well, a guy named Schumann set out to measure it, and what he came up with was this. Basically, the ionosphere is pushing energy towards the Earth, and in turn the Earth is pushing back. So the energy between the ionosphere and the Earth, the solid Earth, there's basically a standing wave that gets set up, and that's at a 7.8 cycles per second frequency, which is fairly slow. I think we talk about our frequencies being 580 hertz, which would be 580 cycles per second. But if we could get into a resonance, which would be maybe a multiple of that 8 cycles per second, we'd be more effective in communication with the Earth, and maybe tap into what is known as the field, the morphic field, for healing, for telepathy, for remote viewing, premonitions, all those things that we know exist, but we can't prove to anybody, might be this kind of resonance with all these energies that are coming from the planet, basically. And finally, the last idea I want to run by you is this connection we have. First of all, it points to how much we have to respect the Earth, because it is our nurturing recording device. So we should take great care of it, because it's all our ancestors and all our history and everything contained in it. And our relationship with it is the first iteration of a fractal. And as it is our mother, we start to look at, okay, you take the Earth and all of its inhabitants, and you look at the larger iteration of that same fractal, and you see the relationship with the sun. Of course, the sun is the body that is exciting the ionosphere of the Earth. So it's sending its energy, which the Earth is translating and communicating with us through the sun. And then you look at the bigger picture of the sun and its planets, and what is its relationship? Well, that would be with the galactic center. And from there, the galactic center would have a relationship with the supercluster that we're involved with, and rotating around in a big kind of supergroup, and that supergroup's direct relationship would be the Big Bang, and there's our direct connection to Source. So it's just an idea. I am developing it, and it's probably people have some other ideas or can point me in directions. So I'd love to hear your feedback on this, and let me know. And so I appreciate everybody who's watching, and keep up the good work.